whispered Raw, like you're leaning in over coffee. Yeah, you. The one scrolling late at night wondering if anyone else has ever been told they're too much to be seen with their own family. My name's Vanessa Bennett. I'm 30, and a few weeks ago, I stood barefoot in my hallway, clutching a lukewarm mug of coffee, and heard my own father say I was too embarrassing to introduce to my brother's new in-laws. Let that sink in for a sec. He didn't know I was listening, thought I was upstairs. But his voice cut right through the drywall. Your brothers-in-laws are elite. You'll humiliate us. Do you understand, Vanessa? Don't ruin this. Said it like I was a faulty appliance. Not his daughter. See, my brother Ethan just got engaged to Leah Harrington. Yeah, that Harrington. As in, private jet, charity galas, Forbes list kind of money. The kind of woman who gets photographed holding crystal flutes while standing on yachts named after Greek islands. And suddenly, my life messy bun, data dashboards, hotel revenue models, fixing broken booking engines from my Austin apartment at 2 a.m. became a liability. To them, I wasn't the girl who saved luxury resorts from financial freefall. I was just awkward Vanessa, the one who asks why the CEO's salary jumped 40% while staff got layoffs. The one who doesn't know which fork is for the salad spoiler. It's the tiny one on the outside, but honestly, who cares? So while they packed Louis Vuitton luggage for a New Year's Eve engagement bash at a 5-star resort dripping in chandeliers, they told me to stay home. Keep things simple, sweetheart. Translation: don't show your face. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't exist near people who matter. What they didn't know, those elite in-laws had been working with me under a different name for months, trusting my spreadsheets to save their entire business. And on the night they tried to tuck me away like an ugly sweater, those same in-laws stared at a gold-framed photo on their lobby wall, recognized my face, and screamed my name out loud in front of everyone. Ha ha. Oh. The irony. You ever been treated like the family embarrassment, only to find out you're the one holding all the power? Stick with me, because how this party flipped from humiliation to holy crap payback, you're gonna wanna hear every last detail. I didn't grow up thinking I was weird, or embarrassing, or too much. I just thought differently. While other kids at our chaotic Texas barbecues were chasing fireflies or stealing extra cupcakes, I'd be parked at the plastic picnic table counting how many hot dogs Uncle Mike scarfed down before vanishing, always 3, then he'd leave. Or calculating how long Aunt Carol spent complaining about her neighbor's lawn Ave, 17 minutes. I asked questions adults hated. Why invest in that company if their debt-to-equity ratio's through the roof? If we're fine financially, why does mom work 2 jobs? People would laugh nervously, then slowly stop inviting me into conversations. My parents, Thomas and Karen Bennett, suburban royalty in their own minds, would pull me aside after gatherings. Vanessa, can you just be normal? Smile. Talk about school. Stop interrogating people like you're on Law and Order. Meanwhile, my older brother Ethan was basically born knowing how to schmooze. Knew exactly when to chuckle politely, when to compliment someone's watch Rolex. Classic choice. When to ask about golf handicaps even though he'd never held a club. At his high school graduation dinner, I remember hovering too close to the waiter, genuinely curious about tip distribution and minimum wage laws, and accidentally bumping into a tray of marinara sauce. Red splattered everywhere, especially on Mrs. Whitmore's white silk dress. Silence. Like someone hit mute on the whole room. My mom's face turned the exact shade of that sauce. Dad grabbed my arm hard and hissed, "This is exactly what I mean. You don't belong in these settings." After that, I stopped trying. Stopped forcing myself into heels that pinched. Stopped rehearsing small talk in the mirror. Stopped pretending I cared about yacht clubs or wine vintages. Instead, I buried myself in numbers. In high school, taught myself Excel macros for fun, built budget trackers for my allowance, ran statistical models on cafeteria lunch popularity, Taco Tuesdays, crushed Pizza Fridays, by the way. In college, while everyone was posting bikini pics from spring break, I was running A or B tests on website layouts for a tiny B&B in Fredericksburg that couldn't afford a real marketing team. Studied business analytics and Comp C, learned how to take messy, chaotic data and turn it into clean, beautiful answers. Hotels started finding me. Guest houses, boutique resorts, all with the same problem. Empty rooms, no bookings, sinking fast. I'd sit cross-legged on my dorm floor at 3 a.m., surrounded by energy drinks and sticky notes, tweaking ad spend, adjusting dynamic pricing algorithms, mapping customer journey drop-offs. Until the graphs finally turned upward. Back home, none of it mattered. When I told them I landed my first paid client, a struggling coastal inn in Corpus Christi, Mom smiled sweetly and said, "So, you're still doing that online thing?" Dad waved it off like a pesky fly. "It's temporary. She'll get a real job eventually." Ethan went straight into corporate law. Joined a fancy firm in Dallas. Instant golden child status. Parents introduced him as our future partner at Harriman and Lowe. Such a bright future. Me? Showed up to Sunday dinners in ripped jeans after pulling a 14-hour consulting day for 3 hotels at once. Mom would whisper, "Could you at least pretend you're not working from your bedroom? It looks sad." Something inside me snapped. If they were never gonna see my value in the room, fine. I'd build it quietly, outside the room. Registered my own LLC, Bennett Analytics. Started saying no to family events where I knew I'd be the punchline. Chose pivot tables over polite chatter. Chose Python scripts over pleasantries. And while they were busy polishing Ethan's image like a vintage car, I was learning something they had zero clue about. In the right hands, numbers don't just tell stories, they change destinies. The question was, what happens when my numbers collided with their obsession over status? First time Harrington and Vale came into my life, it wasn't glamorous. It was desperate. I was sprawled on my couch in Austin, 98 degrees outside, fan whirring, half asleep over a revenue leakage report when an email pinged. Subject line: urgent mid-size resort chain imploding. Can you help? Turns out, a tiny agency I'd freelanced for before was panicking. Their client? A luxury brand hemorrhaging bookings post-pandemic. Big marketing budgets. Even bigger egos. Zero results. They needed a miracle worker. That client? Harrington and Vale Resorts. Just a logo and an attachment. No faces. No names. Just a problem begging to be solved. Few hours later, phone rings. "This is Graham Harrington," says this calm but frayed voice. "We've been told you can pull numbers out of the fire." I sat up. Sat straighter. "No camera," he added quickly. "Our connection's awful. Let's keep this audio only." Perfect. I liked being invisible. Over the next hour, he laid it all bare. Flagship properties? Half empty. Competitors? Eating their lunch. Last agency? Burned through 7 figures. For what? Pretty PowerPoints and zero ROI. "We need someone who actually understands data," he said. "Not just flashy charts. Can you dive into our systems? Tell us what's broken and fix it?" Should have been intimidated. Wasn't. Felt. Clarity. This was just a bigger version of the puzzles I'd been solving since I was 16. Asked for access to their booking engine, ad accounts, web analytics, CRM logs. Within days, I was neck deep in their data graveyard. Found patterns no one else saw. Pricing? Static. In a market that had gone hyper-dynamic. Ads. Targeting retirees in Nebraska, when their ideal guests were remote workers in Austin and Law. Website? Checkout flow on mobile was a nightmare. 73% abandonment rate. Ouch! So I built a plan. Tested dynamic pricing tied to real-time demand curves. Shut down half their useless campaigns. Redirected budget to high-intent search traffic plus micro-targeted social ads. Created packages for workation travelers, staycation families, long weekend road trippers. Riskier than their usual safe reports. Told them that upfront. Graham paused. Then, "If your numbers are right, we have nothing left to lose. Do it." For the first round, I even put part of my fee on the line. Performance-based. If I failed, I made peanuts. If I succeeded, we both won big. Month 1, tiny uptick. Month 2, graphs bent sharply upward. Bookings climbed. Revenue followed. Board members stopped breathing down Graham's neck. One night, he called me, voice lighter than I'd ever heard. "You have no idea what you've done for us, Vanessa. Our team's putting together a case study wall at our main resort. We want your face on it, your name, everything." I laughed. I prefer staying behind the scenes, but I sent over a professional headshot anyway, just in case. On the mock-up they emailed, there I was, gold frame, caption, Data and growth strategist Vanessa Bennett. I closed the file quick. Didn't let myself linger. To me, just another quiet win. No fanfare. No family group chat announcement. What I didn't know, that same resort chain would soon host a glittering charity gala. And at that gala, my polished, perfectly coiffed brother Ethan would lock eyes with Leah Harrington, millionaire heiress, future bride, and the very reason my parents would start treating me like radioactive luggage. Ethan called me 3 months after I saved Harrington and Vale's bacon. Voice bright, braggy, the tone he uses when he's about to announce he's been promoted, bought a Tesla, gotten invited to a country club. Hey, you free to grab coffee? I have news. Met at this painfully trendy spot downtown. Concrete floors. Baristas with sleeve tattoos. $7 cortados. He walked in wearing a tailored suit. On a Saturday. That smile. Practiced. Polished. Trophy ready. Didn't even let me say hello. I'm engaged. He dropped. Like a mick. Like a diamond ring onto velvet. To Leah. Leah Harrington. My brain glitched. Harrington? As in, Harrington and Vale. Yeah. Eyes shining. Her family owns this insane resort empire. They host fundraisers, galas, political junkets all the time. Dad is freaking out. In a good way. I forced a smile. Nodded. Congrats. Happy for you. All the right noises. Inside? Screaming. I'd spent months inside that empire's guts. Saved them from collapse. Restructured their entire digital strategy. But in Ethan's world, I was always 10 steps behind whatever image he was curating. We chatted about the proposal private island, helicopter arrival, custom Vera Wang, about the ring emerald cut, 3 carats insured separately, about how mom cried for an hour. Of course they were thrilled. This was the golden ticket, the VIP pass into the world they worshipped from afar. Then, his expression shifted, like he'd been saving the awkward bit for last. So, there's a New Year's Eve engagement party. He traced the rim of his cup, avoided my eyes. At one of Leah's family resorts. Huge event. Donors, business partners, couple senators. Big deal. I nodded, waited for the need help picking a dress, or flights booked yet. Instead, throat clear. Look, Vanessa, I think it's better if you sit this one out. I stared. Sit it out? It's your engagement party. It's a very particular crowd, he said slowly. Leah's parents. They're friends. They're used to a certain environment. You know how you get in those situations. How I get. My voice sharpened. He lifted his hands. Defensive. You ask those heavy questions. Make people uncomfortable. You don't really play the game. Dad thinks it might be too stressful for you. Too stressful for me? Or too embarrassing for you? He winced. Said everything. We only get one shot at a first impression with Leah's family. They're elite, Vanessa. Certain manners. Certain optics. Mom and Dad are already nervous. They think it's safer if you don't come. Safer. Like I was a loose cannon. A rogue variable. A storm cloud threatening his perfect sunny forecast. I laughed. Came out flat. Hollow. So I'm not invited to my own brother's engagement party. Because I don't fit the optics. He couldn't meet my eyes. It's not like that. We'll do a smaller family dinner later. Just us. You know I love you, right? This is just strategy. Strategy. Right. Got home. Parents in the living room. Voices low. Urgent. Stopped in the hallway. Unseen. Dad, your brothers-in-laws are elite. We can't risk Vanessa rambling about profit margins or calling out someone's unsustainable business model. She'll humiliate us. Mom, she doesn't mean to, Tom. But this could be Ethan's doorway into something better. We can't let her ruin it. Words hit harder than any slap. Upstairs? My laptop open. Dashboard glowing. Harrington and Vale logo right there. They were terrified I'd embarrass them. In front of the very people whose fortunes I'd rebuilt. Closed my eyes. Took a slow breath. Fine. If they want to hide me, let them. They have no idea how small their version of this story really is. They think this party's about optics. Don't realize. Somewhere in that resort lobby, my name's already hanging on their in-laws' walls, waiting to blow their perfect little strategy apart. New Year's Eve came too fast. That week between Christmas and the 31st felt like the whole world was holding its breath. Parents buzzing, talking flights, outfits. What gift screams were worthy of your elite circle? Spoiler, Probably not the monogram towels from Bed Bath & Beyond. Ethan sent me the invite once. Gold foil, embossed crest, fancy cursive. Wish you could come, he texted, like it was fate, not a deliberate exclusion. Morning of the party? Watch them leave for the airport. Mom in a dress she absolutely charged to a credit card. Dad adjusting a tie he bought off-season but claimed was vintage Armani. They waved. I waved back from the doorway. The good daughter, who stays home for her own good. House went quiet, heavy, like grief. That night, Austin glittered. Rooftop parties, fireworks, laughter floating through open windows. Me? Takeout sushi, laptop open on the coffee table. Tried watching a rom-com. Couldn't focus. Phone kept lighting up. Mom's photos, lobby chandeliers, ice sculptures, waiters in wide gloves. Ethan's videos, champagne towers, live jazz band. Leia descending a grand staircase in silver sequins like she stepped out of Vogue. In one clip, heard Dad's voice in the background. That's my son right there, marrying into the Harrington family. Unreal, right? Stared at the screen until it blurred. They were inside the world they'd always worshipped, and they'd done everything possible to make sure I was nowhere near it. So I closed the photos, opened a different window. Harrington unveils urine dashboard. Real-time booking numbers flickering, revenue bars climbing, occupancy rates hitting record highs. Lines I'd helped bend upward, now turning into bonuses. Holiday parties, yacht charters, for people who'd never know my name. Email notification popped up. Subject: year-end update plus special request from Graham Harrington. Clicked it open. Expected a thanks. Here's a spreadsheet. Got a full paragraph. You didn't just tweak a few ads, Vanessa. You changed how we understand our business. We want to honor that properly. Attachment. Concept wall of innovation. Jabbed, opened it. Breath caught. Mock-up of the resort entrance. Long wall. Gold frames. Soft lighting. Each frame. Photo. Title. Project summary. Near the center, my head shot. Cleaner. More confident than I felt earl. Plaque beneath. Data and growth strategist Vanessa Bennett. Description: dynamic pricing overhaul. Demand-driven campaigns. Recovery from post-pandemic slump. Guests would walk past this wall, clinking glasses, laughing under chandeliers, while my face watched from the middle. We're unveiling this at a major partners and family event next season, Graham wrote. We'd love to finally meet you in person. Introduce you to the people whose jobs you helped save. Fingers hovered over keyboard. Phone buzzed again. Another photo from Mom. Ethan and Leia cuddled under confetti. Parents blurry in back, eyes shining. Imagine that somewhere, not far from where they were posing. That wall existed. My framed photo, silently contradicting every story they'd told about me being a disappointment. How ironic. If the place they were so desperate to shield me from ended up being the one place insisting on putting my face front and center. Replied to Graham, honored to attend. Looking forward to it. Set phone face down. Leaned back. Listened to distant fireworks. They thought they'd erase me from this night. Thought they'd found a world high enough I couldn't reach. Truth? Sitting right there on my laptop. In a gold frame. My name stitched into the foundation of their shiny new life. They just hadn't realized yet. The person they were so determined to hide was already woven into every corner of their precious elite circle, waiting for the moment that picture on the wall blew their perfect image apart. Months after life got brighter. Harrington and Vale signed long-term contracts, then expansion deals, then acquisition consultations. Suddenly, late-night calls about opening resorts in Malibu, running simulations on shoulder season occupancy caps, debating whether wellness packages drove higher LTV than romance bundles. My bank account noticed. Swapped my 2008 Corolla for a hybrid. Fixed a leaky ceiling. Moved into a one-bed that didn't rattle during thunderstorms. Did it all quietly. No LinkedIn humble brags. No Instagram flexes. Knew exactly how my parents would react if I tried explaining performance-based retainers. They'd nod, smile, ask if I'd considered applying at the local bank. Meanwhile, Ethan's life looked like a Netflix montage. Mom's texts, photos of him and Leia at Napa tastings, Ken's film premieres, ski chalets in Aspen, screenshots of articles. Harrington heiress engaged to rising legal star. Caption: Your brother was there last night. Can you imagine? Sunday dinners? All wedding plans. Guest lists. How incredible it was that our family would soon belong at events where people discussed tax havens over truffle risotto. Once, over meatloaf, Ethan said, Graham's bringing in some genius consultant for their new data strategy. Guy's basically a wizard with numbers. If I play this right, could end up working on some of those deals. Took a slow sip of water. Hid my smirk. Mom, see, that's the kind of company you want to be around. People who know how to make things happen. Wondered what she'd say if I told her the wizard had spent that morning arguing with Graham about whether to cap New Year's bookings to protect brand exclusivity. And that wizard was me. Didn't say anything. Let them talk about proximity to power. I was busy building it. Then, early fall. Email from Graham's assistant. Subject: Final details, partners and family gala, Miami flagship. Body: Celebration of this year's turnaround plus engagement gala for Miss Leah Harrington and Mr. Ethan Bennett. Graham and Celeste especially excited to honor you that evening. Would like you front and center for the wall unveiling. Attachment: Official invite. Heavy stock. Embossed. My name, near the top. Under strategic partners, Ethan's name. Lower. Under family of the groom, stared at it. Knew my parents hadn't been told yet. Could already hear the conversation. Ultra exclusive. Limited guest list. Only the right people. While quietly planning to keep me out of frame again. Difference this time? The Harringtons weren't inviting me as Ethan's awkward sister. They were inviting me as the architect of their survival. Called Graham to confirm. Kept voice steady. He sounded thrilled. We've been telling everyone about you. Can't wait to see their faces when they realize the person behind those numbers is real. Hung up. Leaned back. Let the irony sink in. Family spent a year trying to edit me out of their narrative. Convinced I'd embarrass them in front of their elite in-laws. But at this party, no hiding me. My face? Waiting for them the second they walked through the door. Framed in gold. Name etched in metal. They thought they were climbing into a world where I didn't belong. We're about to find out. That world had been mine, long before they ever stepped into it. Harrington flagship in Miami. Looked like the cover of Architectural Digest threw up glitter. Marble floors. Towering palms and planters bigger than my first apartment. Floral arrangements that cost more than my student loans. Night of the gala. Air thick with money. Perfume. Privilege. Staff moved like synchronized swimmers. Guided guests toward the ballroom with gloved hands and serene smiles. Arrived early. As requested. Not as family. As strategic partner. Coordinator handed me a badge. Vanessa Bennett, data and growth strategist. Seeing it, twisted something in my chest. For once, my identity wasn't she does something online. Inside the four, the wall of innovation stretched along one side. Just like the mock-up, gold frames, soft spotlights. Each plaque telling a piece of the company's comeback story. My frame, center stage. Photo, name, work. Graham and Celeste rushed over. All warmth. Genuine excitement. Introduced me to board members, department heads, people whose jobs tied to decisions I'd helped make. For the first hour, forgot my family existed. Talked churn rates, forecast models, laughed at the CFO's joke about Excel nightmares. Was in my element. Then, heard Mom's voice, floating in from the lobby. Hi! Nervous. Oh, this place is wow. Ethan, look at that chandelier. Turned, just enough. There they were. Dad in a suit that suddenly looked cheap under the chandeliers. Mom clutching her clutch like it might bolt. Ethan and Leia gliding ahead, like they own the air. Instinct? Shrink. Hide behind the tall guy in the tux. But staff knew who I was. One stepped forward, smiled. Miss Bennett? Mr. Harrington wants you near the wall for the announcement. So instead of hiding, I stood right beside my own framed photo. As my family crossed the foyer, they didn't see me at first. Eyes on the decor, the people, the promise of what this night meant for them. Celeste tapped her champagne glass. Gentle, commanding. Guests turned. Conversations hushed. Thank you all for being here, she began. Tonight's about family, partnership. The people who held this company up when things looked impossible gestured to the wall. Over the last year, we built this to remind ourselves, numbers aren't just charts. They're people. People who changed everything when we needed it most. stepped closer to my frame, smiled. One of those people is someone very dear to us now. Pointed right at my photo. This is Vanessa Bennett. Floor tilted. Parents froze mid-sentence. Ethan's head snapped toward the sound of my name. Celeste read the plaque aloud. Data and growth strategist. The mind behind the turnaround that kept these resorts alive when travel was at its worst. You have no idea how often we've said her name this year. Turned, followed the line from the frame, to where I stood. Eyes widened, like she'd just solved a mystery she didn't know existed. Vanessa, she said, then louder, delighted. Vanessa Bennett, you're here. You're Ethan's sister. Head swiveled, dozens of eyes on me. Then Ethan, then my parents. The silence said more than any speech. Graham stepped up, gaze landing on my family. Polite, now sharp. You never told us your daughter was our Vanessa. Dad opened his mouth. Shut it. Looked like he wanted the marble to swallow him. Mom stammered. We didn't realize you knew her like that. She does some kind of computer work. We didn't think it was. You know, important for tonight. Nearby guests exchanged glances. Graham's jaw tightened. Just enough. Important? He repeated. Without her, this party doesn't happen. This building doesn't stay this full. Half the people in this room would be updating their resumes. Celeste laughed lightly, tried to soften it, but her words carried weight. We've been bragging about her for months. I can't imagine hiding someone like Vanessa. Ethan's face, pale, ashen, looked at me like I'd betrayed him by existing. Vanessa, he whispered, reaching me. You didn't tell me you were working with them. Held his gaze. You didn't ask. Later, away from the crowd, parents cornered me in a quiet hallway. Mom's voice shook. You made us look like fools. We had no idea. Cut her off gently. I mattered to them. My work mattered. Or did your embarrassing daughter just become the person propping up your precious in-law's empire? Dad tried to reclaim authority. You could have warned us, Vanessa. We would have prepared differently. Almost laughed. Prepared how? By inviting me this time? By pretending you were proud? Ethan stepped forward, eyes glassy. Look, maybe we handled things wrong, but you know how Mom and Dad are. We just wanted everything to go smoothly. You do want to be part of this family, right? That's when something inside me settled. Realized I'd spent years twisting myself into knots, chasing a version of belonging that always came with conditions. Don't say too much. Don't ask the hard questions. Don't outshine the chosen one. Took a breath. I will always be your sister, Ethan. Always be their daughter. But I'm done begging to sit at a table where the price of admission is pretending I'm less than what I am. I'm not gonna shrink anymore, so you can appear bigger. Mom's eyes filled. Vanessa, we were just afraid. Afraid you'd embarrass us. Nodded. And tonight? You found out the only thing embarrassing was how little you believed in me. That's on you, not me. Back in the ballroom, when Graham introduced me on stage as a key partner, the applause felt different. Not polite clapping from relatives who barely listened. This was people who'd seen the results, valued them. People who didn't care if I wore the wrong dress or asked weird questions, as long as I showed up with the kind of clarity that kept their lights on. Standing there, under that soft golden light, understood something I wish someone had taught me years ago. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge isn't dramatic or cruel. It's choosing to stop handing your worth to people who only know how to discount it. It's letting your success speak in rooms where they never thought your voice would be heard, and refusing to dim yourself just so insecure people can feel tall. If your family's ever made you feel like the embarrassing one, the extra one, the one who needs to be hidden so they can look good, I need you to hear this. Their inability to see your value does not erase the value itself. You're allowed to build a life that honors who you are, even if that means creating distance from the people who taught you to doubt it. You're allowed to love them and still say no when their expectations crush you. In the end, my parents had to walk past that framed photo of me every time they moved through that resort. My name etched into the wall of the world they worshipped. They were the ones shrinking, avoiding eye contact, rehearsing apologies. I just kept walking, shoulders back, finally understanding the real glow up wasn't getting accepted by them. It was learning to accept myself first. And if you've ever been the one they tried to hide, I hope my story reminds you you're not alone. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to step back from people who didn't see your worth. Maybe your story will be the thing that helps someone else finally stand up for theirs. Subscribe to Revenge Diary, where quiet girls become queens and the overlooked become unstoppable. Share this with anyone who's ever been told they're too much, because sometimes the best revenge is a gold frame and a name that echoes long after they've left the room.